I want to say around the halfway point this season, close to the halfway point this season, the New York Knicks, they went out and made a trade where they acquired OG Anunoby and Precious Achiuwa from the Toronto Raptors. And at the time, and even though I've never formally made a video on the New York Knicks, they're still one of the most popular teams in the NBA. So I find myself talking about them off the camera a lot. And at the time, I thought it was a really solid trade, bringing in a player like OG Anunoby. He's not a notarized player. A lot of people don't know how good OG Anunoby is. But at the time I'm seeing this trade, I'm like, this is a really good trade, but I don't think it's going to move the needle for the New York Knicks because, and this was at the point in the season, I believe the Knicks, they were a playoff team, but they were towards the bottom when it comes to that 1 through 6 seeding. And I remember it was like the New York Knicks, they could really beat the weaker teams in the NBA pretty easily. But when it came to those teams with a record of 500 or above, they were kind of struggling against those teams. So that's why I said I thought bringing in OG Anunoby wasn't going to move the needle. And that's the fun thing about sports, because you can never really be too sure. And I'm never afraid to admit when I was wrong. But these are one of the things that I was wrong on, because the impact that OG Anunoby and Precious Achiuwa has made for the New York Knicks has been big time. When he initially came to the team, their defensive numbers skyrocketed, their offensive numbers went up, and they went on like a crazy 8 to 9 game winning streak. They couldn't lose with OG Anunoby out on the court. And then also he goes down with an injury. We see the New York Knicks at the trade deadline. They make some more great trades, in my opinion, getting Bojan Bogdanovic and Alec Burks from the Detroit Pistons. Just more shooting to put around a player that attracts so much attention like Jalen Brunson. It's been so big time. So the New York Knicks went from me saying that I don't think the trades that they made were the first trade that they made, bringing in OG Anunoby. I don't think it was going to be enough to move that needle against the top teams in the Eastern Conference and the top teams in the Western Conference. But since that point on, and that's just the fun thing about basketball, we've seen the New York Knicks get so much better. And what's great about this team, we didn't see just them get better collectively, but we've seen so many guys make so many great individual strides this season. Looking at guys like Dante DiVincenzo, looking at guys like Josh Hart. Josh Hart has been a triple-double threat since the All-Star break. Isaiah Hartenstein has played himself into a great situation individually for this offseason. OG Anunoby, and then of course Jalen Brunson, who's going to make an All-NBA team, who has an MVP case. You can even make a case for him being first team All-NBA. He has been lights out since the All-Star break. So the New York Knicks, I love this team. And the way I look at it, I've watched them probably over like the last 5 or 6 weeks. I actually think they are built to win an NBA championship this year, and that's even without Julius Randle. So I think the New York Knicks, they have a lot of things going for them schematically when it goes to playoff basketball, and also their personnel. We look at some of their numbers on the season as a team. They rank 30th in the NBA when it comes to pace, so they are very comfortable playing in the half court. And we know when the NBA playoffs start, the pace slows down a lot, and you're playing a lot of more half court offense, so you're going to have to get as many great shots as possible as you can in the half court. The NBA playoffs, it comes down to half court defense and half court execution. So the New York Knicks, they're used to playing at a slower pace, and they're a really good offensive team. They rank 6th in the NBA in offensive rating, and I actually think that's pretty high. When I just looked at it, I didn't think the New York Knicks were going to rank that high in offensive rating, but that's pretty impressive. But the New York Knicks, offensively, they have a good scheme. They have a lot of ball movement, and they have a bunch of different ways that they can beat you on the offensive side of the ball. They can knock down the three-point shot at a very high clip, especially since the All-Star break, bringing in all of these shooters. Dante DiVincenzo, who obviously was here at the beginning of the season, I think he broke the Knicks record for threes attempted in the season and three-pointers made. So he's been lights out from the three-point line. Josh Hart can knock down the three-point shot. OG Anunoby is a high percentage three-point shooter. Jalen Brunson can shoot the lights out. So the New York Knicks have a bunch of shooters. And then also we look at another way that just makes the Knicks overwhelming is their offensive rebounding. Josh Hart, Really all of these guys, Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, Isaiah Hartenstein, Mitchell Robinson. Whenever he played, I was watching the game the other night. I heard Van Gundy, who was broadcasting the game. He said before Mitchell Robinson got injured, he was averaging, I think he said 6 offensive rebounds per game, which is crazy. So the New York Knicks, when they get into that groove on the offensive side of the ball, and they're bombing you from 3, and then when they're missing their shots, they're pounding you on the glass. That alone right there, it can dig yourself in a pretty big hole. And then another thing we got to look at with the New York Knicks, they have a player that simply seems to be unguardable. Over the last 2 weeks or so, I believe Jalen Brunson is averaging 38 points per game. It might even be over a longer span than that, but I know it's for at least 2 weeks. Jalen Brunson has been averaging at least 38 points per game, and he's the biggest reason that I'm so high on the New York Knicks. And I'm a person that used to give Jalen Brunson the benefit of the doubt when it came to like the best point guards in the NBA. But I can't say that there's 3 other point guards that's better than Jalen Brunson right now. I gotta give him that top 3 spot in the NBA, because what he's doing right now, and then just actually watching it, it's actually insane. And he's not just a guy, and this is what I love about players, and especially when it comes to playoff basketball. I'm not really too big of fans. I'm not really too big of a fan that relies heavily on their 3-point shooting when it comes to playoff basketball, just giving up perimeter jump shots in general. And as good as Jalen Brunson can shoot the basketball, he has so many different ways of beating you. He can get to the mid-range area, and then his little touch, his little floater, when he gets close to the paint, when he gets close around to the rim, it is exceptional. He's pretty strong. He has phenomenal footwork, and he's just a great finisher around the rim. So that's why I'm in love with this New York Knicks team right now, because watching Jalen Brunson play, when that jump shot is not falling, he's going to have different mechanics he can get to offensively to still get his points up and to still be a threat on the offensive side of the ball. And whenever he's being a threat, whenever he's getting 35 points, it makes the New York Knicks unstoppable, because now they have all these dangerous offensive players around him, guys that can make 3-point shots, guys that can make plays. They have bigs that can finish around the rim. So I really like the New York Knicks, their offense, the thing that they have going right now. They're going to shoot the threes. They're going to be physical on the offensive glass. They're going to move the ball, and it just looks really well offensively for the New York Knicks right now. And as good as they are on the offensive side of the ball, I believe the New York Knicks are just as good defensively. And we look at the New York Knicks as a team, collectively, they're 10th in the NBA when it comes to defensive rating. And with the personnel that they have, I believe if they were healthy all season long, I think they would be in that top 5 category. So with the talent and the personnel that they have on this team, I think the New York Knicks have a top 5 defense in the NBA. And when you look at all their weapons and all their rebounders and all their shot blockers that they have on this team, and that's just what I was saying. The New York Knicks are just built for playoff basketball. They're 5th in the NBA in rebounds per game, 10th in the NBA in defensive rating, but we know they can play at a much higher level on the defensive side of the ball. And then they also have a top 6 offense in the NBA, ranking in 6th place in offensive rating. But nonetheless, getting back to this defense, I remember when Mitchell Robinson initially got injured, I thought he was going to be out for the season. I thought that's what they were saying, but he has made his return, and this is big time for the New York Knicks. We talked about it a little bit in the last segment about how he was averaging around 6 offensive rebounds per game before his injury. So getting that factor back offensively, and then just getting his presence back on the defensive side of the ball, that's going to be really tough. If Mitchell Robinson can get back to that form and get back as healthy as he was before he got injury, or anywhere close to that, that's going to be a problem for opposing teams, because you're going to have OG Anunoby on your best perimeter player, your best wing scorer, and then you're going to have Mitchell Robinson in that drop coverage, because that's the beauty with the New York Knicks. There's not too many players in the NBA where their bigs are going to have to get super high up and hedge when they have perimeter defenders like Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, and OG Anunoby. These are guys that are really fierce on-ball attack defenders, and they love fighting through screens. And that's just something that a guy like Mitchell Robinson is going to love. Mitchell Robinson doesn't want to be out on the 3-point line. He doesn't want to be hovering. He doesn't want to be out hedging. He wants to be protecting that rim and grabbing rebounds, and he's going to be able to do that with these rangy and skillful defenders that the New York Knicks have. So that's why I'm so big on this team, because the New York Knicks, they've built a roster. They developed these guys, and it's just so impressive to me how much better they've gotten in just one season. It's just been a straight linear line up for the New York Knicks. Like Dante DiVincenzo has been big time. Josh Hart has been big time. OG Anunoby has been big time. Jalen Brunson has taken his game to a new level and put himself in an upper echelon of today's NBA players. I'm just letting you guys know he is really like that. I'm pretty sure everyone in New York, or everybody that's a fan of the New York Knicks, they know Jalen Brunson is like that. But they have the shooters, they have the defenders, they have the rebounders, they have shot blocking, they have a good coach and Tom Thibodeau. So I don't think I haven't been this excited for the playoffs in so long. Looking at the Eastern and the Western Conference, there's so many narratives, there's so many storylines, and we're kind of at that point where we're seeing the eras change in the NBA. We look at LeBron James, Stephen Curry, and Kevin Durant, three of the greatest players in NBA history, really struggling. Well, not even really struggling, but just having and I think that's crazy too. You look at those teams in the Western Conference, like the Lakers are 12 games above 500, but they're still in the play-in tournament. So I wouldn't necessarily say struggling, but for them guys to be at the bottom of their conference, that just tells you that times are about to change in the game that we love so much. So the playoffs should be fantastic this year in the East and the Western Conference. I really cannot wait to see it. We only got to wait a couple of more days. I'm pretty sure the New York Knicks are going to be watching Wednesday to see who they're going to face off between the Philadelphia 76ers and the Miami Heat. You guys let me know which matchup you guys prefer. I know you guys probably want the Miami Heat so you can get revenge on from what happened from last year. So that'll be really fun to watch. But that's going to be it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, please leave a like. Comment down anything that you think in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed, please subscribe for more weekly content. We do this all the time, man. And that's